accidentally deleted my introductory clip where I was driving out to Smithville, Tennessee to meet John Turner of Turner and Sons with my scions in tow. So I'm going to start with what should be the last clip first. And right here I've got apple trees that I grafted after meeting with John. And then right here are apple trees that John grafted for me and showed me how to graft. So I'm here with John Turner this morning with Turner and Sons Nursery, and we're going to learn how to do some grafting. So he's here with the men, and it looks like, I don't know what's the right word, I mean cutting scion?
Yes.
And you're going to be putting it on?
We're putting it on standard rootstock today.
And what the standard, usually that's M111, but you like the Geneva. Is that
Well, this is the old standard size trees that get, 21 to 25 feet.
Okay.
We're grafting Fuji today.
Okay.
And, we put these, this is the size tree that you would find in Home Depot, Lowe's. It's real vigorous, healthy.
Mm-hmm.
It'll stand by itself. You don't have to have any help.
Now, what rootstock is it going on?
It's going on to domestic apple.
So is that M111?
That's a little larger than M111.
What's it called?
That's the name of it. Domestic
Oh, that's
apple
it.
seed.
Because I always hear Bud,
Oh,
Geneva, M111.
Yeah. This is just a domestic, full-size tree.
Oh, okay.
It's entirely different to what you would do. The Genevas and the 111s, 106, Bud 9s, 7s, G8, 118, G935s. All those are stool beds. They're not. They don't come up from a seed.
Okay.
So this is.
Hi, I'm Terry.
Hey Terry, nice to see you again. I don't know if you remember, I met you in Lebanon, the conference.
I don't remember, but yes, I do. Yes, I do. Hey, how are you?
Good, good.
I thought that.
The little white spot in the middle is called the heart of the sign.
I
You don't
know,
need to
but you
cut
know.
the
There you
heart
go.
with this cut that we make right here,
Okay.
like that. You need to be on the lower side
Okay.
of that.
And this is just a real sharp knife
Yes,
you're using,
it's
that's it.
well they're Tina grafted knives, which we've got all the handles, but it's a little wooden handle knife, but it's designed just for
This.
grafting
Okay.
because this side is beveled and this side is flat.
Wow.
So when you cut, it digs in instead of just, it's made just for this.
Nice to see you,
Yeah,
Terry.
nice to see you.
Thanks for letting me come out.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And then
so-
we try to cut this cut right above a bud. And that makes your tree a lot straighter when it starts putting out. It don't have to fight
Okay.
against the, the other wood. It can come out and be straight.
So that's how small the scions are. I mean, that's not even 6 inches really.
No, but now, like I said, on the stool beds, entirely different. It's going to look like this.
I mean, and I'm here today, we're doing the stool beds.
We're gonna do yours on stool beds. Yes,
Okay.
935 or
Right.
G11.
Okay.
And what we do, these will only be planted in this much sticking out of the dirt.
Wow.
That's all in the dirt. Only we leave one bud sticking out of the dirt.
Wow.
But now yours on the G11s, we're going to graft it up a lot higher.
Okay.
We're going to have about that much of the root,
Okay.
about 12 to 16 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reason why we do that, it's just think of it like a fence post. The deeper you can plant that,
Mm-hmm.
the more roots. In a stool bed plant, those G11s and all the semi-dwarf apples, each bud union turns into roots rather than buds. And so you've got a big gob of roots. And the deeper your root is, the more stable the tree would be.
And then the deeper it is, I think you said this to me at the conference, there's certain benefits of a rootstock. So for example, if you want something that's really resistant in fire blight,
Yes.
the deeper the roots go, the more it's going to pass that trait on to
Yes.
the tree.
And
Okay.
the size.
And the
of
size.
tree.
Okay.
Like I could just take a little bitty piece of G11, maybe that much. Well, I would get some of the dwarfing. It would dwarf it a little bit, but the more of it I use, the more it can pass on its gene to be a smaller tree.
Okay.
Uh,
Now, I cut my scions yesterday, but you're gonna end up doing a fresh cut anyhow, so that
Yes.
it's, you know, when you I guess you'd say splice it with the rootstock, it's very fresh.
yes, we want to leave that, and that's why the machines that they come out in the 70s with did not work, because they pinched the cambium and xylem layers and bruised them. And I always use this as an example, is like a guy shaving, he could pinch a pimple on his face and it don't hardly bleed. But when he uses a razor and cuts it real sharp, it bleeds and bleeds and bleeds. Well, when we cut this seedling or this scion like that with a real sharp knife, the cambium and xylem layer is open. I mean, really open. They're not bruised, they're not, you know, damaged. And so they start putting off their sap. Well, then we put it on the scion the same way and do the same thing, and the sap binds together and causes a callus, and the callus is what knits it together. And so that's why the machines didn't work and the knives.
So is this all done by hand today? Just
It's still
totally by
mostly,
hand?
I'm going to say probably 95% is done by hand.
And how many of these will you do in one day with you guys all here?
We done 4,400 yesterday.
Wow.
4,400.
Wow. And are there certain, so this today is March 6th.
Yes.
And so are there seasons, you know, and we're in Middle Tennessee, so are there seasons that you do the grafting? Is it fall and spring?
It's really, we started the last week of January,
Okay.
and we're going to try to go to about March 15th. All these is buried in sawdust. When I say buried, we cover them completely over. And we've got them cooled down now to about 40 degrees, 38 to 40 degrees is what the cooler is set on. And we can, I guess you can say, we can speed it up if we need to, or we can slow it down. The colder you keep it, the slower that knits together. And so right now, we're trying to get them all knitted. We've grafted, my wife told me last night, somewhere around 90,000
Wow.
is what we've got.
And so when I met you in the fall and I wanted to just get a few trees, you had already sold out. I mean, you guys distribute all throughout the country, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
all over the United States,
Yeah.
except California. We
Okay.
do not get to ship into California.
Just state regs.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
We grow this tree 1 year. This tree will be 4 to 5 feet tall.
And that's a gala, you said.
Well,
Gala scion? No.
we plant this in the field.
Oh, okay.
They're planted about 6 inches apart. We'll plant them and try to have them all planted by the mid-April for sure. Of course, like I said, I've got a little control with the cooler, having them in the cooler.
How long have you been doing this?
I planted my first trees in 1977,
Okay.
but my family been in the nursery business since 1912. My grandfather started grafting trees in 1912.
Wow.
He didn't grow the trees, all he done was this process. But all the trees are different. We do apples and pears, this process from January through March 15th. But then the peach trees and the pear trees and apples too, we start grafting those in May, the last week in May, and we go through October to the 1st of October.
Wow.
So you can graft trees almost year round.
So I would say you're an expert.
Well, I've done my part. We grafted over 1 million trees last year.
That's amazing. Okay, and then we're gonna film when you're colleague brings in the dwarf rootstock that I know that they have to get unburied. So this again is domestic apple.
Yes.
And it's going to be different than what I came here to do.
Yes.
And this is just a standard size tree.
Yes, a standard size
and these
tree.
go directly in the ground.
Yes.
And what was the name for this again?
This is the process.
Yes.
We're cleft grafting.
Cleft grafting. Okay.
That's what I've always heard it called. But if you're grafting in January, February,
That's
March.
a bench. I've heard of bench graft.
Yes, bench grafting is sort of like what we're going to do for you.
Is bench.
We're putting it higher on the
Okay.
sign.
Okay, great.
I'm going to get right here.
All right, that's the Nickajack. So I cut these at the farm yesterday and it was pouring rain, and I had this big idea that I'd use a Sharpie and write down the varieties on these scions, and it didn't work. But John has been able to look at those scions and actually identify what the trees probably are. And what he just cut right there was Nickajack. And then these here are the Geneva G11, and these are going to be, these are dwarf.
Yes.
Okay, so you basically just wedge it in between.
Well, I've made the same mark. I need to do that one again. But I made the same cut where that all match up. The heart matches up and the cambium layers match up. And then they just fit together.
Wow.
That's not the smoothest. Hand me some tape. And then we do this and it makes it airtight. Of course, I'm
And this is just called grafting tape.
grafting tape, or buddy tape.
Buddy tape. And you want to make sure that the whole wound is covered.
The whole wound's covered. And I usually put 2 or 3 rounds around it. And there you go. Now you will need to plant that in the field. If we were planting in the field, we'd plant it about 4 to 6 inches deep. Okay. And that leaves that much of the G11 for, you know, there's no way this will ever take root in the dirt and go back to standard, because if it does right here, it goes back to standard.
Okay. Okay.
Because the standard's off of this. It'll come off of this. But
All
this
right.
will always be a G11 dwarf.
So about 6 inches.
Yeah, about 6 inches.
Okay, that's where it goes in.
You know.
Okay.
And you can see when I say it was all come off of a stool bed, this has been cut with a machine that's got saw blades on it.
Wow.
And they just throw sawdust up on this. That's why if you plant this that deep in the ground when you get ready to plant it, all these buds do just like they did here in their roots. Well, the deeper you can get that, the steadier it's going to be. Mm-hmm. You know, more stable in the ground. Mm-hmm. But always leave, 4, 5, 6 inches.
Right.
Of your dwarfing root.
So there's only what, maybe 4 or 5 inches of a scion on this thing.
Yes.
And that's all you need. Okay, so here's Nickajack is done. That one we don't know.
This one I don't know.
I know, I should have been more organized. I can't believe you recognized quite a few of those, so.
And see, really all I need is that much. I just need maybe 1 or 2 buds.
Wow.
To put on that.
Okay, so like now when you cut it, the part that's going to be the scion, where are you cutting? Where are the buds in relation to the cut?
Okay, I left the bud right below the cut.
Okay.
And this is the bud that we're going to grow the tree off of.
Okay.
But we leave us 1 more for a second chance in case something happens here.
Okay.
And then it would start growing here.
Okay.
And see, I can take this little piece and I'll do the same thing again. And see, it's done cut right close to a bud, so it's good. So we made 2, and this could be the strawberry, because one that you talked.
Yeah, that
'cause
might
I
be
don't know that.
Chenango strawberry.
And I trim a lot of that old extra root off because it's going to wad up when you plant it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we cut all that off. And I try to pick the same diameter spot and it just takes a lot of practice.
Yeah. Now, do you grow your own rootstock? Or do
We
you get
do
that shipped
some,
in? Okay.
some of it, but not the G11s, not the Genevas.
Okay.
See how well that matches?
Oh yeah. Wow.
I've lined everything back up.
And now when you put the tape on, how long would you expect? A month, 2 months, couple weeks?
Well, the way the weather is, and at this time of the year, I would tell you if the ground was dry, you could go ahead and plant this, and in about 3 weeks, that's growing together.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a bone. In fact, when that finishes, that'll be the strongest part of that tree anywhere.
Really? Even though
Yeah.
it was put together?
Even though it's put together. The grafting,
Wow.
when you're grafting, that is the strongest part of the tree.
I mean, when I get home, they need to go in the ground, right?
If it was dry enough, yes.
But until it's dry, what do I do with it?
Well, I would put it,
Like in
In
a
a
pot
good-
in the house?
yeah, you can put it in a good cool place, or if you've got a basement, just put them in a box. It's gonna, with wet newspaper is fine.
Keep the roots moist, right?
Yeah, keep the whole thing moist.
Okay.
Let's see how well that fit together.
Oh wow, yeah. And now, how much dry? Like when do I? You know, if it's supposed to dry out tomorrow, I think, and then rain again. So, how much dry weather do you need? Or
Well, the soil, you need the soil to crumble around these roots.
okay,
Yeah, and I would do them sort of like that. You know, put a little soil, put a little soil, let some roots be down, let some be out.
and so if they're in a basement type thing, and I'm keeping the roots moist with like sawdust or newspaper, do they sit like that for a couple weeks?
Yeah, they can sit there for a while.
Okay.
I know this is your limber twig.
Okay.
One.
So what's the most common apple variety that you all sell?
We sell a lot of Gala.
Now, do you sell direct to like commercial orchards, or are you
Yes.
selling to Home Depots for the
We
like
sell-
homeowner? Or
We sell everything,
Okay.
everywhere. We've got several commercial orchards that buy and been buying for years. Then then we sell to a lot of the nurseries that sell to Home Depot and Lowe's. We sell the little trees.
So you
See the sap on that.
oh
I mean,
yeah.
you can see the sap that's on that. And these are not real sappy because they've been out in the weather, but now these has been inside for a while, so the sap's done coming up on that.
Sap is on the rootstock,
Is on the rootstock real well.
and that's good
That's good, really good,
because that's going to help it.
because that's just like glue
Okay.
right there. When I get done doing this, all it does is it'll start callousing right now. I mean, that wet sap is just going to callus that together. And I'm pulling this tape tight, as you can see. I'm pulling it together real tight. In fact, I do it a little carried away and it breaks, but I want to wrap it good.
Thank you. And so this is what we're calling a bench graft.
Yes,
Okay.
because we're not putting a root piece to it. We're just going on this Geneva, which is a rootstock, but there's difference. We're using a piece of root on this. Standard is a piece of root.
That's what we were talking about before.
But now we're going on, the top of the tree. And that's where you get your bench. You
Okay.
can call it a bench graft.
Okay, great.
And I try to make your tree straight. See, the seedling, the rootstock's a little crooked, but I'm gonna straighten it. I'm gonna cut it right here.
Okay. Now our app, I know you do peaches, plums, pears,
cherries.
Is apple the most popular though?
No, we grow a lot more peaches than
Really?
we do apples.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, a lot more. And you can do a peach tree the same way, cherry trees, all of this you could do the same way. But this is probably the one of the slowest ones that we do. I mean, with this crew in the field when we're budding, we're getting, you know, around 2,000 per person a day.
Wow.
Which, you know, they're all in here. Well, when I say 2,000 a person, it's a pair. Mm-hmm. You've got one that puts the band on, and then you've got one that does the budding.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know that you explained on the scion where you cut the scion, but when you're doing the rootstock, where do you want to make your incision here? Like, where do you want to?
I do the same thing.
Right above a bud.
Yeah, well, not so much on the root, but as far as cutting, you can barely see the center of that heart.
Right.
Well, I have to cut it up the same way I would the scion to make it be able to match.
But you don't, it doesn't matter where on the root you cut, like, you know, on the scion where you make that one cut.
Is right above a bud.
Right.
It don't on the scion.
It doesn't matter on the rootstock.
On the rootstock.
Okay.
Because the only reason why I'm doing that cut that I just did on top is I'm trying to make the tree grow straighter.
Okay.
Here it's not, but look how wet that's getting.
Yeah, that's good.
You see, everything lines up.
Wow.
And I'm gonna make it airtight and pull it together close when I'm doing this.
Is it obvious when it's kind of grown together? Like when they're going to be inside for a while because of all this rain. Is it going to be pretty obvious when the wound, I'll call it the wound spot, it has healed?
Yes, it's pretty obvious. It'll be a white callus in under that. Okay. You can take that. That's going to stay on there the whole time.
So I don't have to worry about taking this off?
You don't have to take that off.
Okay.
But if you do, in like a month, you're going to see a white, just like a little, like you glued it together with the little people with white glue, which that's the nip.
So John is taking us now to the potting house. And so this is what your mixer, right? That you put the soil in.
It's a 3-yard mixer.
You got a conveyor.
And I wish they was pot trees in pots, but we have.
Oh, we're doing like bags.
Yes, we have customers that like them in the grow bags. We call them a grow bag.
Is that just kind of more environmentally conscious consumer type thing?
I know. So that's where we're doing right this minute. But that tree grows for 1 year in that bag.
Oh, I'm sorry. And it looks like a lot of bark that's in the soil mix.
Yes, yes.
We got pink dogwoods, and it's what, 16 a minute these guys are getting in?
14 to 16 a minute.
14 to 16 a minute in these grow bags. And then any of the soil that comes out gets put up in the return. A little too short to show you, but you can see up there.
The main stake.
So John's giving me a continued tour, and up here on the hill he said those are used for budwood.
Yeah, grafting wood, budwood.
And how old are those trees? They look like apple trees.
They're apple trees. They're probably 15, 16 years there. This is one of our new sections just for weeping cherries that we grow.
Oh, okay. Oh, they're putting off.
They begin to bloom this week.
Yeah. Wow.
And you can see way down on the back side there's some more orchard back in there. That's bud stock trees too. Gets 2 tags. It has a little strip tag telling what it is at the bottom, and then a tag of, for the commercial or the stores.
So
on
like
top.
Home Depot would give you their tags they want you to put
Yes.
on there, kind of thing. Okay.
And we normally load about 6 to 8 trucks a day.
Wow.
Uh,
And are these primarily like in the southeast, or are they going all over the country?
all over.
All over.
We're doing Indiana. We're doing Illinois and Indiana, and Columbus. A lot of trucks there today.
I mean, the labeling alone gotta take some good time.
Our bare root barn. One of them. We've got 4.
Oh my gosh.
This is one of them.
And it's what, 60 degrees here, it says, so. Wow.
But now we can cool this off too. You can see how we've got it insulated.
Yeah, it's like all spray foam.
Yeah. But now a lot of orders in here is yet to ship. People up north.
Yeah, it's not ready.
Is not ready.
I'm just getting mine in now. Things, I either get it in November, or if it's a spring order, it'll be in about 2 weeks.
Yes. We've got, I think, 5 or 6 more tractor trailer loads to get out of here.
Wow.
And then the rest we pot.
And this is a sawdust floor.
Yes. No concrete. Remember,
Right,
no
no concrete. Wow. And this must be a weeping
A
thing.
weeping redbud. It's called a Ruby Falls.
How cool. Do you sell more bare root or potted?
More bare root. More bare root.
What's the square footage of this barn?
This is a 200 by 100.
Wow.
And the other 3 is hundreds. 100 feet by 60. The other 4. All that.
So I asked John what happens if how do you keep everything moist? And he was explaining that you got a hose, you walk through every day. If there's a dry spot, they just spray it on site because it dries out, obviously, quality goes down.
You can see there.
And here's the guys. And now what are they trimming? Just,
They're trimming mentally plum right now.
okay.
And you can see we've got to get those potted. They're beginning to put out. So
Okay, so they're trimming the roots.
the roots. Where to go in the pot good.
Okay. Okay, so some, I might have missed this, some are being sold to consumers as bare root, and then
Yes.
some are going, you
In
guys
the-
are potting yourselves.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Wow.
I'm on the 3 foot.
So this is kind of a fun cheat sheet that they came up with.
Right at the end of the house.
Right, you write the height so that when consumers come out, you just hold it up.
We budded we budded real close to 400,000 peach trees.
Okay, so this is a smaller barn, but same idea as the barn we were just in. And so what's different about this one other than the size? Is it different varieties in here?
Different, mostly peaches.
Mostly peach.
Yeah.
And the reason, John explained that the reason is because temperatures, right? Different
We've got-
trees have
we've got
different
it set
temperature.
a little colder.
It is, I do feel it cooler in here.
But it gets, we get everything. Like this order goes on a tractor trailer. Now this is going to one of the box stores, growers.
And then they're going to pot them up.
They're going to pot them and
before
grow
the
them for
consumer.
6-7 months, and then they'll start hitting the market.
Okay. So there's actually another layer. So there's you guys, you send the bare root trees to another person. That company pots them up. Then it goes to a Lowe's, Home Depot.
Our
Okay.
Menards, all of them.
Okay.
That's where that loads are going.
Okay.
In fact, that's going to the largest nursery in the U.S.
Wow.
And we've sent them 7 or 8.
So the largest
tractor trailer
nursery, they wouldn't do their own grafting. Just doesn't make sense.
loads. No.
I guess it's probably pretty specialized.
And here's our other cooler. This is where they were digging your rootstocks out.
Oh, okay, yeah, this is actually a cooler.
We keep it at 40 right now. But you can see, this is concrete, but you see none of the plants is
Are
set
touching
on
it,
concrete.
yeah. Wow, okay, what's this?
That is Jane Magnolias,
Rooting the cuttings, yeah.
the little rooted cuttings.
And how long have they been in here?
We put them in right before Christmas, just to keep them from putting out. They want to swell. You leave them out.
Wow. So when you were growing up, I mean, it was not at this scale.
No, it wasn't at this scale. It was my mother. I was in grammar school. My mother would get laid off every year, and so she said, as I told you before, my background, my grandfather done the budding and grafting since 1912.
Right.
And so he grafted for everybody in Tennessee at that time. And that's all he did. He didn't try to grow the tree, he just done the grafting. And so my mother and I, she said, let's plant some trees. In 1977, we planted our first trees.
Okay.
And it went from there.
Was there was there a time where you just found business really increase? Like, and I say COVID because it seemed like a lot of people got interested in backyard orchards. Can you think of a time where all of a sudden business really took off, or has it been pretty level?
No, it's been up and down. It's definitely been a roller coaster.
Okay.
The early 80s was terrible for us in the nursery industry. When the interest rate goes up, everything just goes south.
Right.
Let's just say it like that. But when COVID hit, we sold out. That was the first year that we did not have an extra plant. Every plant sold. We didn't know it was coming like everybody else, or we could have geared up and did
Right.
real well, but we stayed steady. We did, after the COVID, we took about a 20% jump in trees that we was growing. We were probably up 25 to 30% now.
That's great.
Because we picked a lot of customers up
That's great.
at that time. But we started, how we got our name Turner and Son Nursery is I'm the son, and for years people would say, well, you can go to Miss Turner and her son to get trees. Well, we didn't know what we were going to call the nursery as it grew, and we got, I guess you could say, out of our small backyard deal that we were doing. I had a good contract, I will say. I had a real good contract to grow trees in South Carolina, a little community called Grambling, or Spartanburg. It's not small, but that's where all the trees was. And I was growing about 80,000 peach trees for that company each year. And that's really what got me started. Kept me going through those years that was slow.
Well, and Turner and Sons is appropriate because we met Terry when we were in the grafting room,
Yeah.
and then you and Terry have two sons.
Yes.
Who work full time with
Full
you.
time, yes.
So Turner and Sons is appropriate.
It's still Turner and Sons. I'm the son that we started, my
Right.
mother and I, in 1977.
Right.
And then I got married. Terry come right on. My wife, she come right in. She knew a little bit about the nursery industry by being in this county. Her family was not involved in the nursery, but she fell right in with us. And then we had two sons, and they've grown up in the nursery.
Yeah, I've met one, and their names are
Lee Allen
Lee
and John Adam, and everybody knows them by Lee Allen and John Adam.
That's awesome. That's great.
But this is about done. I mean, this
Yeah.
barn was stacked. You couldn't put another pallet in here.
Wow.
Wow. Another rack wouldn't fit. In fact, we had them stacked 3 deep in some places. And it was all peach trees at
Wow.
that time. There wasn't anything but peach trees in here.